Hello, great people. The governor of Akwa Ibom State, Pastor Umo Eno, has finally decamped to the All Progressive Congress APC. On this episode of Politics with your short blog, I will be using the case of the governor's defection to discuss political suicide. The defection of the governor, is it a wise move at this point in time, or has the governor set himself ablaze politically? At the end of this video, you will be able to understand whether the move of the governor is a good one or it is a political suicide. You will recall that the governor has made do of his promise that he's going to join the ruling All Progressive Congress, and he referenced the intra-party crisis in the PDP as the basis of his decision, and he eventually decamped to the APC. And when he decamped, one of his appointees, his commissioner, refused to decamp with him. Instantly, he wrote a letter saying that, well, he is resigning from his cabinet. And you will recall that the governor, Pastor Umo Eno, has threatened his appointees that if you are not following me to the APC, you cannot serve in my cabinet. So the commissioner graciously resigned from the cabinet, and also after his resignation, it is reported that the national lawmakers, about 15 of them, are sitting tight in the PDP. They are saying we are not crossing over to the APC with you. And also, when the governor was at a town hall meeting days before his crossover to the APC, he announced that he will be moving to the APC, and the people recently gave him a response that no, we don't support your movement. Now, I gave you all this background because it will help my analysis going forward. But where to start before I go into whether it is a political suicide or not is that we need to beware of men of God. You will recall that Umo Eno is a pastor, and there is a way that pastors should behave, whether it is politically, whether it is economically, whether it is socially. Pastors should apparently be Christ-like, so that you should be seeing them as a shadow of Christ. You should be seeing them as an embodiment of Christ's teachings and beliefs and doctrines. But is that the case in the aspect of Pastor Umo Eno, the governor of Akwa Ibom State? More of maybe not than maybe, in the sense that pastors shouldn't be giving one person's things to another. Pastors shouldn't be giving what belongs to one organization to another. That is insincerity, that is injustice, that is untruthfulness, in the sense that it is the party that owns the mandate. When you are going for an election, the mandate that you get belongs to the political party, and that's why you don't see the name or picture of candidate on the ballot paper. What you see is the political party. So by law, it is the party that owns the mandate. So if you are a pastor, you are now carrying the mandate of the PDP, you are carrying it to the APC. No, that is against the Christian doctrine. That is against the teaching of Christ. So for me, I think we should be aware of men of God. We should be aware of people that are pastors, because Nigerians are overly religious and we tend to believe these men of God. But then if you open your eyes, you will see, beyond the surface that, okay, as a man of God, you have a right to your political decision, but then your first accountability should be to that of Christ. And if you are a man of God and you are accountable to Christ, why should you give one person's thing to another? Why should you give what belongs to an organization to another? Another thing is the angle of perseverance. Why not stay committed to PDP and work to save the PDP? Why not, remain in the PDP and work to save the party? You have benefited from the party. The party gave you the ticket. Now the party needs you. You ran away. Again, that is not Christ-like. And this is not the first time that PDP will be embroiled in a major crisis. You will remember the death of Alimodu Sheriff and McAfee. That crisis, moved all the way to the Supreme Court, and it was the Supreme Court that resolved that political crisis. So why not wait in the PDP now? Before we go whether it is a political suicide or not, 2027 is still far away. There's enough time for the crisis to be resolved. So for the governor, looking at it from the Christian angle, looking at it from the perseverance and dynamics of conflict management angle, and you will see that 2027 is still far away. There is still enough time for the crisis to be resolved. So you are in 2025 and you are contesting an election in 2027, and you have write off the party. So where is the perseverance? Where is the commitment? Where is the devotion to the People's Democratic Party that gave you the mandate. Now, let us go whether it is a political suicide or not. And I intentionally leave it till this particular time. Some of you don't know that sometimes I leave some of my strong points to the middle, so that if you are not kind of like, if you can't wait enough to watch it to this level, then you would have missed those important points. Sometimes I do that intentionally. So if I watch it to this extent, kudos to you. Now, how is this a political suicide for the governor? Now, the big question is, who will be the leader of the APC in Akwa Ibom State? Who will be the leader? Don't forget that Akwa Ibom State is the home state of Godswill Akpabio. Now that you are the governor, Akpabio is the number 3 citizen of Nigeria as the Senate president. Kashim Shettima, the vice president, is number 2. The president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is number 1. The speaker of the House of Representatives is number 4. So, being the number 3 citizen, he cannot be in the APC, and you, a state governor, will now be claiming leader of the party. But don't forget that in the PDP, you are the leader of the party. And the party in that state, there is no crisis against your leadership in the state. No godfather, no political stalwart is contesting the control of the party with you, but you decide to abandon where you are already a king, and you decide to go into the APC. Now, Akpabio is your leader. You are now a subordinate to Godswill Akpabio. So the big question is that you are not the big answer to that. To the question, who will be the leader of APC in the state, is that it will not be Governor Umo Eno, it will be Godswill Akpabio. And that itself is a major issue, because Akpabio is back apparently as godfather. And now that Akpabio is back, don't forget that this present Akpabio is not that of the last Akpabio when he was governor and he handed over to Udom Emmanuel. No, this new Akpabio has learned from the likes of Nyesom Wike. The political dynamics have changed. Akpabio has learned how to be politically rugged, how to fight to the last, how to decimate where possible, to make sure that by fire by force, you retain your grip on the state as a political godfather. And don't forget that it is the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who himself is a political godfather, that has held Lagos by the jugular from 1999 till date. So now Akpabio has some accomplices. Akpabio has people that are studying how to be a political godfather and to maintain your grip on the state. And that itself is a major problem for Governor Umo Eno, because as it is now, the issue of ticket and power tussle will be a major issue between Akpabio and Governor Umo Eno. When it comes to party matters, people will not rate Umo Eno as number 1. They will go to Godswill Akpabio. So when there is a clash of interest between Akpabio and the governor Umo Eno, definitely, most likely, Akpabio will have his way. And that itself made the governor, that has been the commandant, if I can use that word, in the PDP, now makes him a subordinate to Akpabio in terms of party hierarchy and decision making. And where it will be a problem is the aspect of ticket. Akpabio, as somebody that's been a governor and a political heavyweight in his own right, we have somebody in mind that he would naturally want to be a senator, to be an honorable in the House of Representatives, the State House of Assembly. Akpabio has his own political team, his own political stalwart. So the sharing of ticket, the power formula, will be an issue between Akpabio and Umo Eno in 2027. So you guys should watch out for a strong political battle in Akwa Ibom State. And that's why I asked, is the movement of Umo Eno to the ruling APC, is it a political suicide or a strategic move? Now, we must not go without looking at the aspect of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Umo Eno said he's going into the APC to join President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is performing, which is a fallacy anyway. But that's another discourse for another day. Now, at the end of the day, when Umo Eno runs into trouble, who will Bola Ahmed Tinubu likely to support? Should I tell you the simple truth? From my lens as a political scientist, Bola Ahmed Tinubu will leave Umo Eno to his fate. He will leave Umo Eno to his fate and go with Godswill Akpabio. What is the reason? The reason why Bola Ahmed Tinubu will align with Akpabio is that not doing so has personal consequence for him. Not aligning with Akpabio has personal consequence for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in the sense that Akpabio is the Senate president, and being the Senate president, you are the leader of the National Assembly comprising of the Senate and the House of Representatives. Tinubu will take budget to them. Akpabio will also be the one to preside over his appointment. Akpabio is in charge of checks and balances and oversight duties, checkmating the ministry and parastatals of government. If they want to go and borrow loans, it is Akpabio that will preside over it in the Senate. So, not aligning with Akpabio has personal consequence for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but not aligning with Umo Eno has no consequence whatsoever for Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And that is why I think Governor Umo Eno needs political scientists. He needs political strategists to be able to weigh his odds before taking political decision. Because apparently, to me, as a political scientist, the governor have just committed a political suicide. Because even on the aspect of ticket, Godswill Akpabio may be willing to concede the governorship ticket to him. That, okay, take. But then again, will he be able to concede other tickets to him? And as I've said, back to Bola Ahmed Tinubu will most likely align with Godswill Akpabio. So for me, I think joining the APC is not the best move for the governor. So going forward, governors should not only think about power, especially when people that you are serving, when your political lieutenant, when they are not in support of it. The president is just one man. All politics are local. You need the people in your constituency to be able to buy into your idea. You need the support. You are just one man. If your political lieutenant are not in support of your move, why did you move? If you calculate it politically and you think that it is not a strategic move, why did you move? You may want to reference the crisis in the PDP. But like I said earlier, where is the aspect of perseverance, fighting, the enemies in the PDP, like that of Alimodu Sherif versus McAfee that went all the way to the Supreme Court? And 2027 is still far away. So interesting days lies ahead. As it is now, Akpabio is in charge, and Akpabio has gained more political leverage, and Akpabio has learned from the likes of Nyesom Wike and Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But the days ahead will be very interesting in Akwa Ibom State, and we look forward to the political drama in 2027 and beyond. It's been an interesting time with you. Subscribe, turn on your notification button, catch up with my past video. See you in my next video. I love you all sincerely.